Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to your favorite esports and gaming talk show, Behind the Screens here at Radio UTD. I'm Hector.
I'm Hitarth.
And I'm Adi.
And to start this off, we've got some actual esports news for once. Coming in, we've got the UTD Esports Fall 2020 Tryouts happening soon for each of our different teams, League of Legends, Overwatch, Rocket League, and Smash. The dates for each one of those can be found in the tryout form from the Esports Discord. And a lot of new requirements for some of the games this time. So like for League of Legends, you have to be Diamond 3 or higher in the current season. Overwatch, you have to be Master or higher. Rocket League, you have to be GC or higher. And Smash, you have to have high-level tournament experience.
So, we're screwed, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're out of luck.
What do you mean, Hector?
Wait,
You're coming on the Overwatch
that
one.
doesn't that doesn't really make sense to me
Master?
somewhat, because like in Rocket League, right? Like Grandmaster is the equivalent of like, or Grand Champ is the equivalent of Grandmaster. So like I'm surprised as to why they don't require higher in the other two games, but they do in Rocket League require you to be the highest rank. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's because they have a smaller pool of players.
Yeah.
I think it's also the fact that like the difference between like Champ 1 and like Grand Champ is like someone that plays casually and someone that actually tries, kind of thing.
I gotta go.
Yeah. Adi's
So
champ.
Adi's throwing.
No,
Yeah,
I'm in
we've
plat.
been
What do you
new.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
But in better news,
Pokemon's been doing some stuff lately too. I was gonna say, not only
What?
has Isle of Armor released for Sword and Shield, the expansion pass. I remember our friend Eli got it. Shout out to him, and now he's selling
He's
his
the
whole
only
Switch
one.
and everything. He's the only one who got it back when GameStop had this ridiculous
Okay, yeah, let me explain this.
messed up
first.
sale. It was
So-
50% off their entire store, and Eli's like, you know what? Time to get the DLC for Sword and Shield now. And now
So-
he's selling his Switch, so he's not even gonna
Yeah.
make any use of it.
Well, the thing is, so basically, I was gonna buy a copy of Animal Crossing, and so I went on to GameStop. Actually, it was my girlfriend who found it, but she found that there was a 50% off on the entire store, but it was only in checkout. So like I was like actually about to just buy like a full Switch and then just resell it. But then I was like, you know what's better than that? Let me buy 4 copies of Animal Crossing. So I got 4 copies of Animal Crossing. Yeah, for $120, which was a good
Could you have
price.
imagined buying 4 Switches then and then selling it now when you can upcharge them?
Oh my god.
That would have been big brain. Like I get them each for 150, sell them for like 500. That's just
Oh my
breezy
God.
easy. I would get like a $1,200 for free.
I could have.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. The person at GameStop, like when I went in, he was so confused. He was like, "How did you get this sale?" Because I ordered
Yeah,
one initially because I was like, I just want to make sure I get the 50% off for my copy at least.
He's
And
like,
then
alright,
I
4
saw it
copies
went-
of Animal
yeah.
Crossing.
It
It should
went
be like
through.
$200.
And then I got
And
another
then you went
3
in.
copies. Yeah. But
Yeah,
the good
but
thing
for
is,
us-
it was also when like quarantine started, so like they were doing like the curbside pickup, so I didn't have to like really interact with the person and get like questioned kind of thing. It was more just like I'm picking it up and I'm dipping kind of thing.
Like looks at you, thinks you're hacking their system. He's like,
Yeah, that happened when we tried to when we gave you Spider-Man.
He was like, so you want 3 copies of this game? I'm like,
And we're
yeah.
like, yep.
They're like, why? And I'm like, it's for a joke gift. And he's like, He's like, yeah, sure. He just really was like so confused when we did it.
But anyways,
Yeah.
going back to Pokemon really fast, because that wasn't the only announcement that they had. Like, barring Isle of Armor coming out,
Yeah, I
they also had a direct which they split into 2 parts, and I'm going to refer to it like that from now on, and you'll see why. So in the first portion of it, they opened it up with something called Pokemon Smile, which is such a bizarre. It's an app for smartphones, and the idea is it's obviously marketed towards kids.
Oh my god, I forgot about this.
And the idea is, it uses your smartphone camera and records you brushing your teeth, so you can catch Pokemon with them.
Dude, I'm about to get
It's
it.
a little I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I understand the concept of it. Well, actually, I don't understand the concept of it at all, but I don't know. It just seems like a very gimmicky kind of
I mean, it's just to make like have kids brush their teeth being fun, because apparently it's not an activity that they enjoy. But then again, we're not the demographic, so
But, like,
you know.
I guess
Yeah.
what is the incentive for like the Pokemon company to do that? Is it just like for the good of society, or is like they're gonna have advertisements while you're brushing your teeth, or like what's going on here? Like how are
I
they
mean, it's
making
kind
money
of
off
like
of this?
it's kind of like the same way where they did Pokemon Go, where they got people to, like, physically go outside
Yeah, but
and
that
do
had
stuff.
like a
But that
lot
had a
of
form
net
of
profit.
That was like,
microtransactions.
see, the thing is, you're looking at that was just a lot bigger demographic. So this is a lot smaller demographic, but it's still kind of the same thing. It's just more like towards kids now.
Yeah,
As far as I'm aware, Pokemon Smile does not have microtransactions or anything like that.
but like what would be a microtransaction if they did have one? Like I don't see how they would even like add a microtransaction to it. It doesn't make sense theoretically.
I think it's just a game that they made just cause, you know.
I mean,
not
that
a lot of thought
also
put
is a
into
good
it.
possibility. It's just like, hey, here's a cute little game for kids to play while brushing their teeth.
I think
and
that's
then-
what it is.
That makes more sense, honestly.
But one that does fit more in formula with what we're thinking of like microtransactions and all that is Pokemon Cafe Mix, which is a free to start mobile game and a Nintendo Switch game that does have microtransactions, and it's a puzzle game where you run a Pokemon cafe with this like really cutesy art style.
That's interesting.
I want to get it. I loved cafe games, like the ones you put like Diner Dash and all that.
Wait, so that's
But
the
this is
style of it?
also- I think it's a little less than that. I think it's more.
It's not Diner Dash,
puzzle-oriented.
no. It's
No.
Because
more
I miss
puzzle-oriented.
the Diner Dash days where like it was just you serving it up kitchen. Like, did you guys ever play? I forget what it's called. It's like Papa's Pizzeria or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
remember
my sister
Burgeria.
played that game.
Those games are so fun. I love them so much.
I think just like the entire idea behind this game is that it's a cafe and you're doing that, but it's not like Diner Dash where you actually like serve like people and all that. You kind of do that for the Pokemon, but it's like what Audie said, it's more of a puzzle game. If it's like it's a little more similar to their app Pokemon Shuffle, if any of you know what that is.
I'm walking into the ocean.
It's more
that
like
app makes
that,
me
or like
very, very
Bejeweled
sad.
or whatever. Like those kind of. Like,
Yeah, imagine
puzzle
that, but
games.
even more simplified. All you're doing is literally linking icons. They don't have to be next to each other as long as you can like make a line of them.
Yeah, like one of the video shows just in the play space that there is just a Pikachu icon, like a whole bunch of them, an Eevee icon, and so you're trying
Yeah.
to get them all linked together, and it gets rid of all of them from the area.
Maybe I'm in the minority of people that think this way, but I do think that Pokemon Company does kind of milk their characters a little too
You're
much.
absolutely not in the minority. I will tell you right
Because,
You
now.
are
like,
definitely not,
what
no.
what is the incentive to make like half of the games that they do, as in like they're just so simple, and like I don't know why people enjoy it. Like for me, I guess
it's just 'cause they're cute.
the biggest thing for me, at least, and this kind of ties into something else that got announced as well, is like a new Pokemon Snap game. That one is like the one exception that I see like some appeal towards, but at the same time I still don't understand how that's such a popular game even if it is, how it's priced as high as it is.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they're marketing that as a full game because on the original N64 it was also marketed as a full game. And for game mechanics wise, and the reason why people like really love it is, you know, like it's like a lot of people surface level just see it as taking photographs of Pokemon, but there's like an in-game point system, like are they doing a certain pose, and you yourself have the ability to like change things around their environment to like set up for a better shot,
Mhm.
maybe trigger some like background event to make
That's
the
like-
photo look nicer. It's like, I would say like almost puzzle-like, but like
It-
as the further you go on, the more elements you unlock.
It's a niche genre because again, it doesn't necessarily cater to our demographic, but there are like that genre of game for photography is like an actual one out there.
I guess the
I
way that
remember
I
I
saw
had
it
this.
was more
I
just
had this
like a
Wii
little
game that was
childish.
like, yeah. Because I had this one Wii game that was called like Animal Safari or whatever. And I got for one of my birthdays when I was like 14 from one of my close friends as a meme, and then
Yeah.
it was funny as like a funny meme. So what he did is got me that, and I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "Just try it." And I was like, "Oh, I see." It was just like it's just a camera game. It was a wild safari game.
Like
You
a
just
fun
go
meme
into the-
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'll say that's the most interesting thing that got announced, because the thing after that is definitely just more of a why. So I mentioned that the Pokemon Direct was split into two parts. The second portion was a week later, and as of recording, it was announced today, and it is a title called Pokemon Unite, which is something on mobile and on Nintendo Switch, and it's essentially a Pokemon MOBA, and they partnered with Tencent, the people who make League of Legends, for this.
See, I've been seeing like both positive and negative things regarding it. Like, some people are just like me included, just kind of like whatever, it doesn't really matter. Some people like actually think that it could be good.
See, I'm of the opinion, like, I'll keep it an open mind going into it. Something I'll probably give a shot, and then like if I like it, great. If not, it's free. There's no real harm in it. But the portion that I take, like, not offense to, but it's just more of like, oh, why would you do that? Is they made this its own separate announcement, and they're just like, yeah, we have more Pokemon stuff to announce. They were hyping it up over the course of a week, and then it was just a 10-minute direct of them announcing it, them showing a sample game, and then it ending.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still very much like looking forward to more like things to come from Nintendo in general, rather than individual developers kind of like announcing stuff and Nintendo kind of just advertising that on their Twitter and stuff like that. Because for the most part, a lot of these announcements that are happening through Nintendo, besides I'd say maybe Paper Mario, have been just game developers having some sort of thing, and then Nintendo kind of just being like, yeah,
it's on our console.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Which,
that's true.
I mean, like, I know that we've talked about this, and you specifically have told me that you think there is going to be a direct this month, but I mean, we're getting
I'm hoping
6
so.
days until July, basically, and we're still not at a direct or an announcement. I mean, they are very notorious for making very last second, like, we're going to have a direct in 2 days kind of thing, but
yeah,
I don't foresee it unless it's like the 28th. That sounds like a day that they would maybe do it, but
they've been like pretty dodgy about it, because last time we did have a direct, it was just uploaded, which was the direct mini. It was just uploaded. There's no like forewarning 2 days ahead. There was just a video on the Nintendo channel saying, here's the mini direct, have fun. I mean, but
yeah.
also
It
the
was a mini
closest thing,
one, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the closest thing we did have after that is pretty recently they announced that Min Min is getting added to Smash Ultimate, and that's one of their core titles, and she's the first fighter in the second pass.
Yeah, that was a pretty big announcement, I'd say. I mean, like, considering the fact that I'm not quite sure exactly when they teased it initially, as to they previously stated that there was going to be a character from ARMS coming into the Smash Bros.
Yeah,
So
we
everyone knew
knew
that, but they didn't know which character. They didn't know. There's a lot of conspiracy around it being all of the characters, kind of like similar to Bowser Jr., where you can switch between skins and it switches between the different fighters in ARMS.
Yeah, that would have been cool as well.
But it looks like they went the route of Min Min, which for you have probably multiple, or I'd say majority of people don't really know ARMS too well, because at least for me, it looked like a really fun game, but I don't know anyone that owns the game. Like, no one really went out of their way to buy it.
I've heard it's a fun party game.
Yeah,
that's
Sorry,
what
go
I
ahead,
heard.
Hitarth.
No, you're good. It's like, for people who do play ARMS, it was them picking Minlin was basically them just like picking one of the top of from like a popularity poll. Like, she is one of the more popular characters from the game. So
a lot of people also thought it was like, if it wasn't Springman, which was like the typical, that's like their like poster child kind of person.
Their poster boy, yeah.
Yeah, for the game.
But everyone was guessing Twintel, which is another one of their very popular, like, most loved people in the game. But I mean, like you said, Min Min is also a very popular character, and I think I read something along the lines of the main developer head for ARMS said that
he was the one who requested Min Min specifically.
Yeah, which is interesting, but I think she definitely has like a very unique character design, and I think that's why they decided on that, because not only does she have like a somewhat interesting lore kind of thing where she's like ramen inspired, but she's also like just a very cool character design in general, just between her hair and then the arms that she has. I mean, I don't know arms too well, so I don't know if other people can have those exact arms, but I do believe some of the arms are skinned specifically towards her.
Yeah,
least the arm
I think
portion.
her main thing is the dragon arm that's like not switchable. I believe is exclusive for her. Again, I don't know much about arms. I could be totally wrong.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that one.
Okay, but yeah, she looks exciting, and I think she's gonna be a pretty good start to like the next fighter pass, because there's 5 more characters after this.
To be more specific on the popularity side that we mentioned, there was a poll that went off on Nintendo Life that had about 12,000 people vote for it, and Min Min was the highest with 25% of the votes.
This
Okay,
is like
so
prior
she
to
was
the
very
thing.
popular.
Yeah, prior to, like, this was a who do you want from ARMS to be in Smash Ultimate,
Yeah.
and she won that 25, but Twintail was at 21. Very
I remember
close to
also
second.
hearing speculations that they only mentioned that it was from ARMS because they were getting ready to announce a second ARMS alongside Min Min.
That would be sick.
Interesting.
I don't think that's, I mean, obviously that's not what happened, but I don't know. The reason why it's hard is because ARMS was one of the original launch. It wasn't a launch title, but it was very.
It was like
soon
very
after.
close to it.
Yeah,
So-
it was announced with like the Switch and stuff, but
Yep.
it wasn't a launch title.
Exactly. So it released very soon after. The thing is, I think there's multiple factors as to why I don't think it did well. I think a big portion of it was a lot of people were still invested in Breath of the Wild at the time as well. And so, considering the fact that the people that at least had the Switch at the time or were getting a Switch were primarily getting it with Breath of the Wild, I'd say the vast majority of people. And so, you didn't really see too many people looking towards games like ARMS and stuff like that. When it's kind of something very, very unknown, and so people were like, do we want to spend this money right now on a game like this when it could possibly not be as good as they thought it was? So
I mean, if you ask me, another thing that made it super hard is that ARMS is a completely new IP.
yeah,
And
exactly.
with the gaming industry as it is right now, we lean very, very, very heavily on IPs that already exist. Like, let's take Crash Bandicoot, for example. They finally announced a 4th one that's called It's About Time, because they knew exactly what they were doing with that.
Yeah.
And so they're just like leaning into old properties, because they also announced another, not Crash Bandicoot, words escape me, Ratchet and Clank.
yeah.
So like, should we be expecting a new Sly Cooper game as well? Like, of all these like classic PS2 era games that like everybody considers to be like nostalgic towards them?
Yeah, because I mean, I could be wrong on this, but I believe like the last Crash Bandicoot being Crash Bandicoot 3, that wasn't like including the remaster and all the stuff that they did like in the last couple years, was like 1998 or like 2000 or something like that.
Actually, Crash Bandicoot did have other games, but they weren't made by Naughty Dog, which was like the
Gotcha.
original people who made the IP. So they're, I guess, like they make a joke in the trailer saying like, so how many times have you taken down like the main villain anyways? And the girl just goes like 3 times. She's like, huh, could have sworn it was more than that. And that's them making a jab saying like all of the rest of the games that have been like out after that don't count.
Yeah, I mean, and there's other games that have had similar things like that. Like I know Assassin's Creed, where they have like their main story, like they're like Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, 4, but then between like 2 and 4, there were several iterations that weren't fully published by Ubi, if I'm not mistaken, or made by the same people. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure Ubi published the games, but Ubi also makes most of the Assassin's Creed themselves, both producing it and publishing it. But if I'm not
think- yeah,
mistaken,
I think you're right about that
some
one.
of the like
I think what they
Brotherhood and
do-
stuff like that might not be from them.
I think what they do, and I know the Call of Duty franchise also runs the same way, where they have multiple studios work on like different games. Like that's how they have yearly releases.
Yeah.
And so like you'll have like Ubisoft Montreal work on one, and then Ubisoft Quebec work on another.
Yeah. I mean,
like
that's what happened. They have several different companies. Yeah, like you said, Ubisoft Montreal, Quebec, and then they also had a couple other like AK-tronic other companies help them out with them. But I mean, that was another game I don't know if we've talked about on the show quite yet, but Assassin's Creed also kind of getting its announcement a couple months ago for the PS5, being Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which did look very interesting to me at least.
So the question that I wanted to raise to you guys is, what are your thoughts on the games industry just constantly going back on properties they know will make money? Like, do you think it's time that they should just make a break and make something new? Because they have been doing some stuff every now and then, like take Horizon Zero Dawn, and that got a sequel announced for the PS5 like recently, so they're planning on making that into a franchise.
I think the way that I see it personally, don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
It's more, I think that the companies, like the big companies, Ubisoft, EA, or even like Sony Games and Xbox Studios and stuff like that, Microsoft Studios, the companies that are like very big and like need that profit to like return on their investments and stuff like that, always go on the safer route typically. At least in the previous years, they've just kind of resorted to, okay, if this game did well and we think we have the resources to make a second, third, fourth, we'll do it. But then you do see those more up and coming studios that later typically get bought in by these bigger studios that are really trying to do something new, change everything, stay up to date with the most updated Unreal, and try pushing the limits to see what they can really make. And I think part of that is because they are trying to eventually become something big in the gaming industry or be purchased later from a bigger studio like Sony.
I was gonna say something similar. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off here.
Go.
But something similar to what Hector said about that is, like, back in the day, Pokemon kind of was like that. Because initially, Pokemon was just Game Freak before being an actual, like, big company, and, like, with Nintendo and everything. So Pokemon kind of did that exact same thing that you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned Naughty Dog in particular, because it's weird to look at like the titles that Naughty Dog has developed, where they start off with like Crash Bandicoot was like their big like breakout thing, and then after that they worked on Jak and Daxter, and then they had like this drastic tone shift from having like these like cartoony platformer sort of games. They went to Uncharted after that, and then after that they went to The Last of Us, and then there's The Last of Us 2, which is reception for that has been all over the place.
Yeah, that one's a little rough.
Yeah. So Last of Us 2 just recently came out, I believe the 22nd, 23rd, which at the time of us recording is 1 to 2 days ago. And the reception, like Audie said, has been a little all over the place, to say the least. I think the critics are definitely giving it a very good score. Metascore on Metacritic is about a 95. But if you look out of 77,000 ratings from actual players and users, it has a 4.4. So a disparity in that is kind of
good, Chief.
Interesting. And I think it's, from what I can tell, is like a lot of people who love the series no matter what, and they're very invested in the lore and kind of the storyline, seem to probably think it's pretty decent. But maybe people, and I haven't really read super thoroughly into the reviews because I might play the game eventually and I don't want any spoilers, but it seems for the most part it has to do with kind of like the abrupt storyline in this one, and then also the gameplay not being as interesting as the first one, is what I've heard.
From what I've heard, like the gameplay is about as good as it is the first one, but the main point of contention when it comes to this is the story. Because Last of Us is very like story and character driven, and the gameplay is just sort of like a vehicle to move that along, because they obviously want to tell a story more than anything. But it's just the choices they made when the players had the initial investment from The Last of Us 1 just made them feel like, why? Like, obviously I'm not going to go into specifics.
Yeah.
But we don't want to really spoil anything as well, in case people don't want to know about it as well.
Yeah, but I think it is very interesting to note, and I think that there's been several games and movies that have had similar reception such as this, but maybe inverse, right? So a lot of critics hate it, but then the vast majority of people that watch it enjoy it or play it enjoy it. So I think what I typically go off of is not the critic scores and more players, because at the end of the day, the critics aren't the one that's driving the developers and directors to continue making the series, because they're not the ones who are actually investing into it. So I think, from my point of view at least, I always look towards the user score or the player score, because that typically is more accurate to what everyone's general consensus of the game is. But I don't know if you guys are in a similar fashion
I
as
mean,
far as that.
I mean, the one thing when I consider about like reviews by other people is that certain games are very prone to getting review bombed, which is just when a bunch of people on the internet who don't like a certain game will just go on certain review sites and just lambast it with a bunch of negative reviews. And I think
Yeah.
The Last of Us, Last of Us Part 2 was one of those games that it happened to. Because, like, obviously some of, like, the reasons that they have are, like, silly reasons, like, I just don't like the game or something. But, oftentimes there does seem to be a massive disconnect between, like, how reviewers look at things and how players look at things. The perfect example, counterexample I found of that also came out recently was the SpongeBob SquarePants game, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
Yep.
And if you look at the critic score, it has a 67, but if you look at the user score, it has a 9.1.
Yeah, and I think I kind of like speaking from my point of view as far as this, but like, and it's kind of funny that this happened when I did stumble upon it, but just kind of following into my recommended on YouTube, I was getting a lot of videos that were like not advertising. It was initially just like kind of speed runs of the original game by some YouTubers known as like Shift and stuff like that. So people that have been speedrunning the original game for a while now, and how they kind of grew the scene of speedrunning for that. And it was very interesting to see how the developers, both being THQ Nordic, but also the people more specifically making the game, were kind of reaching out to people in the community for feedback and giving early access and kind of running stuff by them, because it really
I actually
seemed
didn't know
like
that. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
specifically when you mentioned Shift, I know he mentioned it in one of his videos. He actually was able to work with like the team
Yeah.
for early access for the game and like test it out and for them, and that was actually
Yeah,
really cool hearing about
exactly.
that. Because
And
like those people, those speedrunners for the original game for it, they're basically like the only active community for this game.
Yeah, because I mean, the game is what, like 18 years old at this point. So it's a very old game, and I think the community that is keeping it alive is only speedrunning. Like, there's definitely no people that are just like, hey, I'm gonna go buy SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom and play it just casually. Like, there's not many people that would do that at the time, because
Yeah,
that game was
very
released
rare.
on like the GameCube, Xbox, like original and stuff like that. So like, we're talking like super old. The thing is, it did seem like they were trying to stay very true to their original game and stay true to the roots, and I think that's what a lot of people wanted out of the series, was kind of to see. I think oftentimes when some companies that may not be the original developers kind of take on a game and remaster it, they try adding some new features that maybe people don't really like or that is not well received. But it did seem like they were very, very persistent and kind of note-taking on what everyone wanted to see out of the game, which was just very, very good from a developer standpoint.
See, and that's the thing that critics lambasted it for. So you have to ask yourself, if they go about making a remake of the game and keep everything the exact same, is that really something to complain over?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, and like we were talking about The Last of Us, I mean, before they had The Last of Us 2, they had The Last of Us Remastered, which the difference between it was really just the resolution, right? It wasn't really too much to do with the story at all. It was almost a 1-for-1, but it was just a higher resolution and frame count, really. That's about it.
Yeah, because The Last of Us was originally a PS3 game, and then I think I remember reading that as soon as The Last of Us development of The Last of Us ended, they started on the remastered version because they knew that they're going to be releasing this on the PS4.
Yeah, which is funny, but I think And I don't think
Like,
that
we gotta
got
make
as
that bank.
bad. Yeah, I don't think that got as bad of a reception. I think what it really came down to is oftentimes for some reason critics will think, okay, well, the reason that The Last of Us may be able to get away with it is because they made a remaster probably 4 or 5 years after the game came out.
I think it was actually like a year. Let me go fact
Really?
check that.
Last of Us release date was 2013. Last of Us
Uh,
remastered.
July 29th, 2014, and then PlayStation 3 was released June 14th, 2013. So yeah, 1 year.
Okay, that's actually ridiculous.
That's,
so okay, not 45 years.
That's too close.
They remade the game a year and a half later, which that in itself I would see as a red flag. Not
They're like, all right, this game's done. Now we gotta
Let's
make
do it
it
again.
better. Yeah, let's do it again. Start
but
over.
the thing is, they didn't change the game. Like, if under my understanding, it is the game and the AI are exactly true to the original. It's just a few textures and frame rates and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's upscaled.
Yeah. So like,
It's like
I mean,
like
I'm
making
glad
a
they
new
did
game for the
it.
PS4 right now, and then knowing the PS5 is coming out, they're like, all right, now we'll make it better for the PS5
Okay, you can just
immediately.
say
I mean,
GTA 5
GTA 5.
Again.
Yeah, we've talked about that on the last show, but GTA 5 kind of making the decision of porting their game onto everything, so they're kind of taking the Bethesda approach where they port Skyrim on every console known to man, or a fridge if you're interested in playing Skyrim on your Samsung fridge, perhaps.
Wait, can you actually? I mean, I
I'm
don't doubt
pretty
it. That sounds like a
positive.
meme, but
yeah,
I would
you
not
can
be
like
surprised.
actually port Skyrim onto your Samsung smart fridge.
I'm
It's
pretty
so
sure they
dumb.
also like did something regarding it on like what's it called? The like Alexa and stuff like that. Where it wasn't
Play
obviously the
Skyrim
full
via
game.
your Alexa.
Yeah, but it was like you can do like certain things regarding Skyrim on the Alexa. I mean, I'm
That's
pretty sure.
crazy,
I
man.
think the Skyrim on the Samsung smart fridge might have been a joke. Actually, I think it was like an April Fool's thing. But even they know that they're almost milking the game because, I mean, Bethesda is well known for releasing one game every like 7 years. Now it's
Century.
even
Oh,
been
never
going
mind. We
on
have
for
differing
longer.
opinions.
Yeah, I mean, it feels that way for a lot of the fans. So I think like Bethesda is in a similar boat where it's like they like releasing titles kind of like at their own pace, and Rockstar does that at the same way, where for instance Red Dead Redemption between the first and the second game was a good century.
I mean, I can think of another studio that does it the same way, which is CD Projekt, which
Yeah.
is the people who did The Witcher 3 and that are doing Cyberpunk, which has once again been delayed because they're just like, this game has to be perfect. But one thing that they are doing, which I think is really cool, is if you buy a copy of Cyberpunk 2077 on a PS4 or an Xbox One, you'll be able to play it on the next generation as well with no extra charge.
Yeah, I did see a lot of companies actually trying that out because, I mean, the thing about it is, as far as what we can tell for the PS5, is it should have a vast majority of backwards compatibility with most PS4 games. So if a game is
really hope
releasing
so.
so close to the release of PS5, but they've been in development on the PS4 for so long, then they are kind of in a pickle where it's like, we released the game on the PS4, but the PS5 comes out 4 months after. So what is the approach? Do we stall it even longer and then extend the whole game even more, and then they have to upscale everything, and then that takes forever? Or do they just try releasing both at the same time, slightly delaying it? But I think for the majority of fans to the series, like Cyberpunk fans, they're not as mad at the delays. I think it's just unfortunate with everything going on in the world as well, that everything is kind of getting delayed with that development, and I think it's been delayed like 3 times now.
Yeah, it's been delayed a lot now recently.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for the developers, but I'm sure that a lot of the people that are making the game are actually more relieved that they have more time to spend on it, and that for the most part they'll make a game that they're actually proud of rather than rushing something and kind of putting it out. So I think a big part of what that game has is like probably a lot of leniency with the loan hold, or the, what is it called? The basically companies that are giving them money to make the game. Stockholders, I guess. Because
Just
that's a big
stockholders.
part of it. Because I
Also,
know.
another reason.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say something random.
Okay. I think another reason people aren't as mad is because they know the developer in question will do like a good job with it. Like
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red has had an excellent like track record of like doing good things with their with like the games that they make. So like it's more understandable for them. Like if it was like EA, could you imagine like all the complaining that would happen?
Yeah, I mean EA it's just like when there's a company that takes a lot of time on a game, I think more people are fine with, okay, it's already not been like 10 years since the game was released again. What's another 3 months? But for a company like EA or UB that release games so frequently, when they have a delay on a game, like Watch Dogs Legion, for instance, which still hasn't have a release, and it was supposed to release in like March or something like that, then that's where people like tend to be a little like forgetful about the game. Like you can tell a lot more people are hyped about Cyberpunk, but almost everyone's forgotten about Watch Dogs Legion already because they announced that it's getting delayed.
Not gonna lie, totally forgot it existed until you mentioned
Me
it.
too. I was like,
Yeah,
me too. Even I
exactly.
forgot about it.
So I guess that kind of like proves my point that it's like less people care about that because they know that they release games so frequently, but when there's a game that's been hyped for so long, then it's more understanding for a developer to postpone it.
I mean, that's just something you have to be aware of when it comes to this like sort of industry, is just staying in relevance, which is why like a lot of companies might like go back on like previous IPs, but that also like works for like the platforms, because a lot of what like they release will go up on like on YouTube, on Twitch, and that's also another form of marketing. But one of those forms of marketing that's going down is Mixer.
Yeah, I think that was very abrupt, and so for those who may not know, which it has been just announced a couple days ago, Mixer, being the streaming platform similar to Twitch and Facebook gaming, if anyone uses that, is going down mid-July, and that was kind of an abrupt change and basically announcement, and there's been big names that have switched over to Mixer with big contracts such as Ninja, Shroud, really big names in the gaming industry, and just all of a sudden, well, now they're gonna have to switch to a different platform if they want to continue, because Mixer is now calling it quits and kind of merging with Facebook gaming in a partnership.
And it's like, it's not really them shutting down. It is a big thing, but it's just the way that they sent it out to everyone.
Yeah,
because they didn't
exactly.
even like inform the people who are on their own platform, like content creators of Mixer, like Ninja and Shroud, or them in advance. Like when the public found out that Mixer was shutting down, that's when they also found out about it. So
And
it's
not
like,
only
that's kind of
that-
just like a big backstab.
Yeah, I also read stuff regarding even people that were employed on Mixer that were just informed like a couple days prior to everyone else knowing. So like imagine you're working at Mixer for the company and they are like, okay, we're just gonna shut down, and then they just tell you, and then they tell the public like immediately after. Like it's very abrupt, and I think it was, I mean, people like knew that Mixer wasn't as relevant as Twitch, but I don't think everyone anticipated it shutting down so abruptly, and I think that's why it caused a lot of commotion when it did happen.
I mean, and like the main thing that like everybody is baffled over, like you mentioned, is like how abrupt it was. Because once everybody found out that they hadn't let their own community know, like the people who were keeping it alive and all that, like you have to really feel for them. Like they spent their entire like time and energy like trying to build an audience on that platform, and now that platform itself is just dissipating like right underneath their feet.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and I also just read some more things about it because I was pretty interested in it, and it's like, I mean, you have to think about like Ninja and Shroud, right? Like for them, who really cares, right? They secured the 30 million or whatever they got for a 3-month or 3-year. They didn't have to stay with Mixer the entire 3 years, and they get to go back to a different platform as they want. Them, even if they weren't going to continue streaming, they would be fine. But for me, the biggest part that I'm kind of upset with Mixer on as far as that is more the concept that they dropped it, and for those people that are like just switching to Mixer and trying to really grind it out, that are streaming consistently, kind of growing that audience and that smaller to medium-sized streams, and all of a sudden it just shuts down. Well, those aren't the people that can just switch to Twitch instantly and get the same viewership, right? Like if Ninja
they
goes
have to
back
build it
to
up from the
Twitch,
ground up again.
he'll be fine. But let's say people that are streaming some games that are maybe more of a niche, and they go back to Twitch, well, there goes all their viewership, and it can really make or break people's lives, like at the end of the day, because people do this for a living. It's not just something for fun.
Like for example, I want to take you as an example, Hitarth, because you recently started also streaming on Twitch, and you hit affiliate recently. So what was it like doing that experience from like 0 to making affiliate? Like, because you were streaming constantly to get affiliate, right?
Yeah, most recently now, for this like past few months, I've been streaming a lot more lately.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of our other friends already had affiliate, Eli, but then we looked at the hours of stream, and I have like almost more than twice his number of hours streamed on my channel.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, you would probably have like 4 times mine, and I have affiliate.
I'm at like 250 hours.
Yeah. What it really comes down to is it's, I mean, you have to get lucky in some regards, right? Like, especially starting smaller. You're like, you have your small group of friends, hopefully, that will watch you, but then it's also just, you have to be doing the right things at the right time, kind of thing.
Yeah,
if you're expecting people to stop by on an MS Paint stream like I did, well, then you're probably out of luck, because not many people are going to stumble upon that. Or maybe they did. I'm pretty sure that was actually one of my best
That was
streams.
actually one of your best streams. But like, imagine being in like Hitarth's position, like you've put all your time, energy, effort into this, and then it just disappears, and you have to restart over. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and it's a great accomplishment, but I guess I'm leaning more towards like even a little more than what he's accomplished, I guess, regarding people that maybe are like at, I'd say 100, 150 concurrent viewers, right? Where they're not huge, but they definitely have a following behind them. A couple thousand people that follow them and some subs and stuff like that. That's when people start considering whether they should take streaming full time, or if they can, or if they can't really manage to do that financially. But then
keep it part time, yeah.
Exactly. But then when something like that happens, and for those people that maybe did decide on going full time, they're basically screwed. Like it's hard. It's a hard decision.
I mean, one more thing to mention about Mixer starting down is any and all people that are on Mixer will be flooded towards Facebook gaming, because they've been trying to boost that up lately. And they're automatically eligible for Facebook's level program, which I believe is the equivalent to hitting affiliate on Twitch. So meaning you can like monetize what you do.
Yeah.
And earn like subscriptions and streams and all that.
Yeah. Which I think is a good thing, but just alone, like, yes, they are merging it, but take the bigger streamers, for instance, Ninja and Tryouts. When they went from Twitch, a very big platform, to Mixer, a relatively smaller platform, it wasn't everyone that followed them. Like, some people just don't like that platform. A lot of people don't like Facebook gaming, so they're just going to be like, nope, I'm not going to watch that person, or they watch them for the first couple times, but then they're just like, a lot of people will stumble upon streams because they're on Twitch already, rather than going to Twitch specifically to watch one person. So the way that I see it is, it was such a impactful decision on Mixer's end. And I mean, at the end of the day, yes, it's a company, they have to make decisions like that, but like we all agreed on, I think it's the fashion that they did make the announcement in that it was very unprofessional, I'd say.
Yeah, you just don't pull the rug out from like under your own employees who are like doing all the hard lifting for you.
Especially like right now with everything going on in the world, I think it's even worse that they did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
true.
Now more than ever, people are becoming unemployed. So maybe if someone was on the verge of going full-time with this and then they got unemployed, they're like, all right, let's do it. And then this happens, then basically like it really is going to mess up a lot of people's lives. And I mean, it's the sad truth, but I guess Mixer did what they had to do, and they're trying to compensate for it with the partnership with Facebook. But I guess in the coming months, we'll definitely see what that transition looks like, and we'll see what happens in that.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if like this will actually do any good for Facebook's platform, or if this will like be another thing that falls flat.
Yeah.
I think Facebook will definitely start getting bigger. especially with this, because they have started getting like more and more people slowly. But I think especially with Mixer dropping out now is where Facebook gaming will actually start taking a higher rise.
That's true. I
Yeah.
suppose it is like less competition because I guess now you're narrowing it down to two platforms being either Facebook Gaming or Twitch. And then Facebook already has a massive amount of users that might be just like, what's this like gaming stuff that I see like my kid talking about, like let's say, and then maybe they can just like look at it. It's just like, okay, I can make some like sense of this.
Yeah, and I think, well, at least for me, it would have been better as like a business standpoint and credibility if they made everyone that was streaming on Mixer like at least have to stream on Facebook. Like the people that they were partnered with in contracts, like Shroud and Ninja, where they still keep those faces in the partnership, but now that they're cutting terms legally, those bigger streamers that were partnered with Mixer don't have any obligation to stay with Facebook Gaming, so they could go back to Twitch if they want.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest issue, is that I don't know. It's gonna be hard for people to make that move to Facebook unless Facebook just starts pouring out money like Mixer did, which is probably what's gonna have to happen.
Yeah,
I
it's
think so.
possible.
I think that's what's gonna happen.
Because I mean, Facebook is rich. Let's be honest.
Oh, of
And
course.
I mean,
I mean,
Microsoft
that's
is
not
too,
even a
but I'm pretty sure Facebook has more money.
Not even a question. Yeah.
So I mean, I think they're gonna be able to really make, and I think the reason they've halted doing that is because they know Mixer was gonna be doing that, and then Mixer slowly started dying, and they were probably talking legality between the two partners and stuff like that. So then now I think is when we're really gonna see big contracts being given from Facebook to big Twitch streamers incentivizing a switch over.
I mean, yeah, I did remember hearing that, like, even though they got out of their contracts with Mixer, Facebook was very quick to offer them, like, another one, for double the contract that they had at Mixer. Imagine that, seeing as, Ninja got 30 mil, and then Shroud got 10 mil, to, like, keep them around.
Yeah.
Both of them declined.
Really? I didn't hear that
Yeah,
part.
yeah, both of them declined.
That's crazy.
So they're Ninja
you
and Shroud
imagine?
are home free to go wherever they want. Odds are probably back to Twitch.
60 million. Can you imagine that?
Rejected
I can't
60
fathom
million.
it. I can't fathom it, man.
Wait, so it was a
I
can't even
60
fathom
million
10 million.
contract for 3
Yep,
years?
They didn't say for an amount of time, but it was just like there were talks that Facebook was like talking to them, saying like, hey, if you want to stay on the platform, we'll offer you around double.
I mean, I don't know. I think from my perspective, I think the reason they denied it is because I think they're in the works with Twitch, because Twitch, once Mixer was kind of popping off with the whole, okay, we're going to start paying people millions of dollars to come over, then Twitch was making sure that they were keeping their top content creators also in a partnership.
That's
Where
true. That is when they
beyond a
started locking
partner,
people under
it was-
contracts. Yeah.
Yeah, contracts. So people like big names were getting also paid from Twitch to stay on the platform. So I think now that it's limited to two big names, Facebook and Twitch, then now it's going to be a big game of who can keep who on the platform kind of thing.
Yeah. I know one of the major ones that like they locked down was Admiral Baru, who is like, he calls himself the emote salesman because he has these like really cute panda emoticons.
And he has so many of them. It's like actually absurd.
Yeah, I mean, he probably has like what, like 50 plus? Because you can have like 50 as like a big
He has
player.
multiple channels just for like
Wait,
more
does he
emotes.
really?
Yeah, it's like he literally
I
has
didn't know that.
multiple channels and that he doesn't even stream on, just for people to sub to and just get more emotes.
That's so big brain. As like a,
It's because
like
he doesn't have enough emo slots for a channel. So, but it's easier having more emo slots for newer channels. So he just has multiple ones.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
another three that they kept locked down are Dr. Lupo, Lyric, and then Tim the Top Man.
Yeah. And those three are like very, very big names.
Very big names.
And
on
a
Twitch.
lot of them were kind of in that whole Fortnite chain as well. So like they really grew from that, and then now they just are mostly a variety streamer.
I was gonna say, one of the streamers I watch, I know does Facebook gaming, Simple Flips.
I mean,
Oh,
Simple
does he?
Flips, Disguised
Yeah.
Toast, which is a really big name as well. He was a Hearthstone streamer as well as a couple other things, and
Because
he
the thing with
switched
Simple
over.
Flips was that he was gonna do Twitch and Facebook gaming because at the time it seemed fine, but then he started getting messages from like his Twitch person. I don't remember the name. And that was like, hey, so this is basically like he fully explained what the concept of exclusivity is for Twitch, and that just means that like even if you're streaming somewhere else, they won't allow it. So you have to break his contract with Twitch, so he fully like is doing Facebook gaming.
Yeah,
Dang,
exactly. So I mean, it's something.
It
but
was a little rough for him and his like subscribers on Twitch that he had built up with all that, but like he's already started like paying more of the people who work for him more for stuff, and so it was just at that point too much of an issue. It was too much money.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess what I'll end it on for you guys, a question that I want to ask both of you, from someone on Twitter that was asking this. Are you more willing to overlook a bad story for gameplay or bad gameplay for a good story?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. So, first of all, video games, right? Is like obviously in there. So I guess bad gameplay is more of like a sticking point to me.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I'm
like,
sure you know my answer.
let me guess. Are you gonna say gameplay? Like
No, bad
gameplay's
story.
more-
Or yeah, I guess that's the same thing.
Yeah, you're agreeing.
Okay,
with
never
me.
mind. I'm in agreement here.
Yeah, but like obviously, if I like enjoy a story but don't enjoy a gameplay, the gameplay of something, I could always just go and look it up. But if I'm gonna like purchase a video game, I want to play the video game,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's something for me, I guess, and I was talking to Audie briefly about this. I guess that like you see games like Minecraft Story Mode where or like a Telltale series game where they definitely lean more towards that story aspect of a game in sort of this fashion where it's like decisions that you make but everything else is like scripted. So it definitely ties more into like that movie aspect more than a game. But I think, I don't know, for me, considering the fact that I'm very much heavily into like competitive games, I would always lean more towards good gameplay. But I think if you're looking at someone that maybe enjoys playing single player games often, that's why I was surprised that you're also in the same boat, because I would have thought that you're kind of leaning towards the better story than gameplay.
I mean, yeah. So the only reason I say good gameplay is because the price of entry for, let's say, a game is way higher than going to go watch a movie.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
if you're gonna make
That's true.
an investment like that, like you want to be sure that you enjoy like the thing that you're paying for, and when it comes to video games, it's gameplay.
Yeah, but I guess in the same regard, like let's say like a movie, right? Like a average movie, 2 hours. Well, what if it's a game that's basically a movie in essence, like story mode, but that's like 10 hours? Then do you see the value of multiple hours more being worth the price difference between a movie and a game? Or is it still like you're getting a game to play rather than to watch?
I think it's mainly the to play part, because like if I wanted to like watch something, I could always just go look it up on YouTube. Odds are someone's done it.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot more about the experience of you doing it yourself. For me, I'm in between because I like games that have a nice balance between story and gameplay. Of course, I still like competitive games where I don't care about the story at all for those, honestly, sometimes. As long as the gameplay is good, then it's a good
You want to
game.
tell me what the plot to CS:GO is right
You want to tell
now?
me the plot to Rocket League? It's just cars, man.
Yeah.
But I also enjoy single player games that have a good storyline, a good action pace, like JRPGs especially,
Yeah.
and RPGs in general as well. Especially like for games that Odd and I play, like the Tales of series, which is a JRPG we mentioned way back on their show, way previous episode. It's really good games, story driven, and it still has gameplay and action. And I think those are really good balances for games.
Yeah, I think definitely. The reason, I guess, more for me, Audie, not just because you do enjoy playing single player games, but like an example of a game that I saw you playing that I thought was probably the most boring
thing on planet Earth.
gameplay was that one what's the game?
Xenoblade. You saw me play Xenoblade.
Not Xenoblade. That one has
Really?
somewhat of gameplay. It's that one game that you played that they have a siege skin. What's it called?
A siege skin?
Like that rainbow skin for Ella's gun.
Oh, Gree.
Gree. That game looked like abysmal gameplay to me personally.
Okay, so I played Gree on the Xbox Game Pass, and it was a very artsy sort of platformer. it was a very artsy sort of platformer, but there wasn't like really any challenge. It was more about an experience that they were trying to like show you, and not to mention the only reason I kept with it is because I know that it was not that long of a game.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but like, how'd you get the game? I forgot. Did you buy it or did you just
No,
have it?
Xbox Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass.
Okay, so then I guess you had more incentive to play it because it was free to you.
Yeah, like cause I went and got it to try Ori and the Blind Forest, and I was just like, well, I still have time, so let's look at these like other games that I had a passing interest in, and I'd heard good things about Grease, so here we were.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess Hitarth, what I didn't quite understand your perspective of it. You would prefer better gameplay over better story?
I'm in between. I want a nice balance between gameplay and story.
All right, well, Hitarth, we can't always have nice things, okay?
So for
if you
a
had to
multiplayer
choose,
game,
if you had to choose,
I got to choose.
You have to choose.
I have to choose one. I'd mainly separate between like a single player versus multiplayer, but I think I'd say the gameplay.
So,
Okay.
like, I guess for a single player game, would you prefer better story than gameplay?
For a single player game, yes. I would
Really?
like a little better of a story, and if the
Well,
gameplay's
okay,
a little,
I'm not saying like
eh,
I'm saying like both, like it's like one or the other, like complete opposite, like bad
complete
story
opposite?
and good gameplay, not like gameplay and good story. Like it's bad gameplay.
Okay, then I would say I'd rather have good gameplay with a bad story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the argument that exists in is Doom 2016. Doom 2016 has next to no story. You're a Doom Slayer running around in hell killing demons. That is the plot of Doom. There is stuff happening in the background, but it's not stuff anybody cares about. And from what I've heard from Phil, it's you know.
I wouldn't say that's bad story. I'd say that's just non-existent story. I'd say a game that has bad story
Well,
is
I guess
Kingdom
bad
Hearts.
story.
That's a game that has story, but it's just so terrible that the people who
I'll
play the
agree.
game
I'll agree with
actively
you. Yeah,
can't even
I
keep
mean,
up with it.
People like Kingdom Hearts because it's so insane, but they like to keep up with it anyways, knowing how stupid it is. But I'll agree with you there. I enjoy Kingdom Hearts for the gameplay. I absolutely do not understand what the heck is happening
The
in that
story
game.
is terrible, man.
I think I would hate both, to be honest.
You probably would, Hector. I don't think that's your type of game.
Actually, Kingdom Hearts is pretty like action oriented.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
there's a
like
difference
you
between
It's like
stand.
RPG.
action-oriented and like RPG oriented. Because like
It's not turn-based RPG. But it's still an RPG.
because you would say
Yeah.
Xenoblade is action based, but that game
No,
looks pretty
Kingdom Hearts
boring.
is way more. Not even close.
Really?
Yeah,
From what I've seen audio gameplay of, yeah, Kingdom Hearts is way more.
it's way more involved than just you're waiting for this dude to swing. You hit a button every now and then. No, you mash it.
Yeah, your mashing abilities, it's a lot harder too, I want to
Yeah.
say.
I don't know. We'll
Alright.
have to see.
All right. On the note of mashing, I think that's all the time we have today.
So
Thank
mash
you all
that
for-
smash the like button.
And
You want
remember,
to try that? Well, hang on. I'll
I
give
said
you one more
mash
time.
the smash.
mash
You guys
the smash,
smash
button,
the
got it.
like button. Hit the
Like,
subscribe.
comment, subscribe.
And if you
On
want, I
Radio
know we don't
UTD.
get often too much, but leave a comment down there, maybe a question if you have, and we might get to it on the next show as well.
No, we
All
might.
right, everybody.
We will.
We will. There you go.
You will. You guarantee. You have the Hector guarantee.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Have an enjoyable night, day, whatever time it is for you, and we'll see you guys 2 weeks from now. Goodbye.
Take it
Bye,
easy.
guys.